What's up, guys? Welcome to Figuring It Out podcast. My name is Fedor, and on my left, I have my wonderful wife,
Victoria.
And today we're talking about
going to an HBCU, our experience,
yes,
and the pros, the cons, all the above. I don't know if we should start with the cons or the pros first. What do you think?
Well, first of all, HBCU, for those who don't know, it's a historically black college or university. So it's a college that was set up for black people to get education. Back in the day, it wasn't as easy for black people to get education, so those were the colleges or universities that were set up for
it
that.
wasn't even the fact that it wasn't easy. Black people back in the day were not allowed were not allowed to go to universities, period, or even with white people, even if they finally did get to the university. So that's why HBCUs were set up and still set up to highlight black people and their success. So I'm thankful that they're even around because from my experience, I actually can start because I specifically applied to HBCUs when I was in high school because I didn't grow up around my people. And I've said this in multiple videos. I went to almost literally throughout my whole life all predominantly white schools.
Yeah, you were in Cali, so that's expected.
I was in LA. I was in a suburban area where there's not a lot of people that looked like me, and I was so jealous of my friends that were in LA County that went to different schools that were around their people, because I always felt like I missed that aspect. So I told my parents, when I go to college, I am going to be around my people. And then I ended up with Fedor, and I'm so happy.
Out of everybody in that college, she ended up with a Russian. Yes.
But honestly, there are pros and cons. I'm just thankful that Hampton University that we went to didn't just allow black people, and not even just Hampton University, HBCUs till this day, they allow all races. It just highlights black people first, But it's just the pros are the people we've met, the connections that we made forever, and just having a sense of community. That's what I really liked about black people, learning about my history and knowing that my opinion matters versus being put on the back burner in school. So those are the pros for me. And then I'll get into the cons after your pros.
Okay, all right. To me, the pros are everything outside of the academics. In my opinion, academics were a bit lacking. In my opinion,
I agree.
It's a few. There were great classes, only a few of them. I would say 20% were great, 80% were kind of it's something. Some classes, I was in the business school, and business school is considered to be one of the best schools at Hampton. So I don't know how other majors were. I mean, I know the medical school is also good.
Yeah, we got to talk about the pros and the are you talking about the cons? Give me one
pros.
straight. Yeah.
Pros.
Okay.
I played tennis. The tennis team was not the results, but the tennis team environment was great. So that was awesome to play with them, have fun with them, travel. That was something new to me, that I could travel while I was studying. Pros to me, also comparing to Russia, is that I had free time. If I were to go to school in Russia, I would have like an hour a day of free time, because I would be studying a lot of homework, a lot of theory that I would have to learn. At Hampton, well, it's in the States as a whole. It's more of practice based. That's what I was going for whenever I was deciding to either stay in Russia or to go to the US. So I had more free time, which helped me be fluent, in Russian channel, and I'm still doing it now. So it helped me develop myself in my extra time. That was also a pro. Thirdly, I learned English. I came to Hampton in much of the first videos, but even in those videos, I was kind of okay already.
He was all right because of me. When we first met, his English was not up to par. It was the cutest thing ever.
But that's all right. So I learned the English, which also has helped me be fluent. I've realized that people around the world don't know Russians. I was thinking that we do have a good understanding of Americans as Russians, but then I realized that it's a whole different world. Whatever they were saying on the news, in the media, was totally false. But then when I got to the States, I realized the same thing about Russians. People here don't know Russians as people. They only know them from the movies, from the news. But that's because people don't speak the language.
And I feel like that's why Fedor was a little bit popular at school, because he was the only Russian that everybody said, oh, Russian guy, what's up?
Yes. So people, because they don't speak Russian, they cannot go to Russia or speak to a Russian person. That's what made me kind of inspired to start teaching Russian. First I was teaching, privates, even at Hampton. I had like a few people who I was teaching. But then it just all went online. because I realized that people are divided because they don't know each other's language, they don't understand each other. So that was a good wake-up moment for me. It happened, I wouldn't say it happened at Hampton. I would say it happened during Hampton.
Yeah,
it's not like in a university.
The realization.
Right.
So before I get into my cons, I think you should discuss, did you know that you were going to an HBCU when you applied? Because I obviously knew.
Right.
And you can talk about, because a lot of people ask in the comments, did Fedor know he was going to school with all black people?
I didn't know that. I only found out after I already accepted the offer to go. But I could have declined it right after, but I didn't, because it didn't matter to me like that. I was like, okay, I guess so. Don't matter to me. Back home, we don't have any negative stigma against black people, against African Americans, against Africans. That's why it didn't matter to me, in the least. So that's the answer. Okay. Yeah. So what about your cons? What did you not like?
Oh
about
man, I have a lot of cons. I'm gonna try.
Sip this tea right here.
I'm gonna try to keep it to a minimum. I think the cons for me were 3 things: my professors, the food, because the food was absolutely terrible.
Cafeteria.
The cafeteria was absolutely terrible. And I would say kind of my major. I felt like my major was very toxic. I would literally cry. College was a really difficult time for us. I would cry.
For you.
For me.
Well, Victoria was a nightmare. I was all right.
Yeah,
Victoria
was okay. I mean, it was for a nightmare for you too, a little bit. Towards the end, like with sports and stuff.
Okay, well, I can talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, but for me, it was more of my major. I had long hours where I would have to be in the theater, and the director that I would work with was very unprofessional and very toxic and very racist. I'm not going to call the person out, but it was a wake-up call, but at the end of the day, it taught me to work with people that I can't stand.
Right.
And it taught me how to be professional at all times and to respect my elders, because I know we said it in another video, but it came to a point where it became a popularity contest on who's going to show out more to get the main part, who's going to kiss ass for the main part. Like, it was just too much, and I was not for it, but I kind of got stuck in it because I was on scholarship, and I'm thankful for the experience. But if I could change it, if I could change that experience, I honestly would probably have it as a minor and have something else as my major. Yeah, because remember, I would cry to you on the weekends because the director was so like, when I tell you guys, it could be about my parents, it could be about it was about who I was dating, my parents, if I missed a line.
I think it was a lot of it.
Insane.
A lot of it was their insecurities were put on you throughout maybe like 5 different professors that they didn't achieve something in life. So they would take it out on you or on other students as well.
Very true.
As an educator, you cannot do that.
You cannot do that. And it's crazy because I would ask Fedor, like, do they do this to you or is it just me? But it was
they didn't do it to me at all.
It was just unfortunate that I had those professors, and I asked my other friends who had those professors, and they experienced the same thing. So they weren't just, calling me out. But those 2 specific professors, I remember a specific time where they figured out Fedor was Russian, and
they didn't like that.
No, the professor was, I said this in another video, was like, he's never gonna love you the way you need to be loved. Right. Like, just talking all of this garbage.
Not even knowing me.
Not even knowing Fedor. So that was a huge, like, I felt like I was frozen and I couldn't say anything. Yeah. But that was definitely a con because I had to put up with that in order to pass.
But now you know how to deal with that.
Oh my goodness, now I know. I wish I would have handled it differently, to be honest.
You know what I was thinking just now? Before going to a university or school, you think that your teachers are accomplished in their regard.
No, you really do.
And are respected, and they deserve respect. But when you get there, you realize that some of them are in teaching because they couldn't do anything else.
It's crazy. Yes. And I realized that the teachers that I appreciated, I had about 2 teachers out of my 4 years that were just phenomenal there.
Yes.
And when I talked to them, they were accomplished in their life. Yeah. They were writing books. They had more to offer, and they really were there to give and not just there to make money or be on tenure. And the ones that were
prove themselves to themselves.
Or the ones the person that was manipulative towards me and the other cast members, the person hated their life, never made it, and they were I'm not trying to like throw anybody under the bus, but it makes you realize, they really hated themselves, so they put that on us. And I realized that when I graduated, and it made me have compassion for that person, because
you know what? I heard somebody say that.
It's terrible.
A crazy person is not dangerous. He becomes dangerous when they get a position of power. When they're a teacher, they have power. Because they're messed up in their head, they're gonna mess everybody else up.
Yes.
Or they're gonna make somebody do something that they think is right.
Yes.
So that was a great example for you. That professor was.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? At the end of the day, I am thankful for that experience, even though it was so...
In retrospect,
if I could be super positive...
Right.
And just
if we take lessons out of every single moment of our lives.
Exactly. Then I actually am, because it did teach me how to have a strong backbone if I am going to want to be in this industry.
Oh yeah, especially in acting industry.
You know,
yes.
But moving on to
cafeteria.
Cafeteria, and less about the professors.
I have a similar con when it comes to academics and professors.
Yes.
Because I was in a business school, MBA. I got my MBA, Masters of Business Administration.
Oh yeah, sorry, and I studied theater.
Yes. Okay. So I was thinking an MBA. It's a manager. They can figure out the business. They can be the business director. So they have to be entrepreneurial. When I got to Hampton, unfortunately, and this is true not just for Hampton, but for many other schools.
For many other universities.
They don't teach you to be independent, to be an entrepreneur, to be a businessman. They teach you how to be a good employee. A lot of the lessons that they were teaching were about how to... We had different sessions about, office politics, how to say the right thing, how to avoid saying the wrong thing. I understand that that's useful. Somebody coming in would be just like, no, that's not right. But then they're talking to their boss, then they'll get promoted because of that.
Right.
But to me, that was so against who I am. It's like, you know what? I don't want to say something that I don't mean, or I don't want to appear nice just because I want to get a promotion.
They would groom the students to teach you how to land that job, which is great.
Right.
But for a person that, like you,
right.
that wants to have their own business and thrive and not be under anyone, it's just not.
It's terrible.
But you had to go through that to even acknowledge that and see that in yourself, that you never want to work under anyone.
Yeah, I've realized that after my first job.
Yeah.
I only had one job in my life.
And I've had many.
Well, I had a few.
You've had a few. You had about three or four.
But they were more of like, I'm working for somebody for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
That was the only corporate job that I had. The only one I had. I had it for 2 months because it was my internship. After that, I realized that I'd much rather work at McDonald's. Seriously.
Oh, serious?
I would go to a KFC. We have KFC back home. I'll go to KFC and be jealous of those who were at the register.
Yeah.
Because they seemed like they were at least happy. They were making somebody happy.
Listening to music.
Yes, I would be on the phone calling people. I hated that. But anyway, that's besides the point. Back to Hampton, I would just miss. They wouldn't inspire. They wouldn't encourage out of the box thinking.
Right.
They would only encourage. Okay, this is not right. This is wrong. So you should not do that. But then I only realized that once I started teaching myself entrepreneurship and teaching myself, I guess entrepreneurship cannot be taught, but at least you can inspire somebody to figure things out, you know, to learn how to figure business out.
It can't necessarily, it can and can't be taught. If it just depends on who the professor is. If they have their own business as well, they can even teach just a little segment on this is what you do. If you want to invest in trading,
right.
If you want to do A, B, C, and D, this is how you should do it in order to have your business on the side, but then have your regular job to fuel your business on the side. Right. But it was more taught like, no, you got to have your job, your just regular 9 to 5 job, and that's it. So I definitely agree with that statement. Didn't teach out of the box thinking, but the teachers that we did had taught phenomenal things. I remember my reading increased, and the books that they told me to read about Black history and just about my major, directing, acting, I was very, very thankful for that, because I didn't know a lot of playwrights like I should have, and I didn't know enough. Right. And I was really thankful for the books that I guess we had to read or were forced to read, and we would have to read last minute. But yeah, I was really thankful. But let's move on to the food, because that was absolute garbage, and every Hamptonian knows that the cafeteria is absolute trash. But I am happy about the cafeteria because that's where we met.
Right. Yeah, the food was just, I mean, I guess it can't be said about any cafeteria, to be honest.
Honestly, the only...
Anywhere in the world.
No, the only cafeteria that was bomb was when we would go to Philly on the weekends and visit our friends. Was she at Drexel or Penn? No, she was at Temple. That food was hit. So you can't even say it's all cafeterias because that food was fabulous.
Well, Temple compared to Hampton University is a much bigger school. Probably has more money. So,
but I'm just saying.
The food was all right. But you learned. That's where I learned to be on a diet and how to be on a diet.
And that's why we were so skinny. We were eating like 2 meals a day.
Yeah.
Like that's how bad the food was. We would just eat salads because it was just terrible.
Yeah.
But
a second con for me, though, apart from food, I guess the third one is administration. Administration was terrible.
Yes.
Especially regarding money.
Yes.
It seems like they're still in 1980s.
I agree.
If you have to pay for something, for let's say cable, they give you a slip, or then you go to somebody to pay for that thing, then they stamp. Then you have to go to another office so they can take it off your record. So you won't have a balance for something.
It's insane. And even...
Why can't I just pay it online?
Yes. And I had a job at the school that I absolutely hated, where I had to work in my major or whatever. It was like my first year, and I was so pissed because every time we received a document, I would have to print out the document, take it across campus, give it to them, when I'm just like, I don't understand why I can't scan this real quick and send it to them. I would be
email
pissed.
them in the first place.
Yeah, so I would definitely agree that they were super behind, and every year, not even us just complaining, the whole school would have to go to convocation every year because something was wrong with the money. The scholarship wasn't dropped properly, so we had to go, talk to the head people to say, I'm on scholarship, what's going on? And then they would say, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't see you, and fix it.
That's what I had to do actually one year. I had to call
provost terrible.
To complain and say, hey, I'm on athletic scholarship. I was on academic and athletic. None of them were taken away. I was still a good athlete, still a good student. But then when I came back, I had to pay like $15,000. I was like, I don't have that kind of money.
Exactly.
So I had to call provost because it wasn't being resolved. It was terrible. A lot of things are still done by hand, which makes a lot of mistakes. People make mistakes. That's understandable. Create a better system. I think that Hampton, there's not enough good systems that work.
Yeah, they're just stuck in the 70s and the 80s, to be honest. And everybody knows that went to Hampton. It's called the Hampton Runaround. Yes. Every student that is at Hampton and that went to Hampton and that is an alum has had to do the Hampton Runaround, which is annoying.
If you're at Hampton right now, let us know in the comments if it's still the same.
Please, I really hope it got better, because we would be stressing out.
Yeah.
Stressing out before classes, because if you didn't have your stuff in order, you couldn't start school. But I'm just thankful that that time is over and we got through it and pushed through it.
I have a question for you, though.
Yes.
I don't think we ever discussed that. If you were given a chance to go to Hampton again, would you?
I would say yes, only because of the people that I've met and the professors
Let me rephrase
that inspired me.
If you met me before going to Hampton, and we already knew each other, we would already have a relationship regardless.
Okay.
Would you go to Hampton or not?
Absolutely not.
For real?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But it would have to be you.
I guess I matter more than all those people.
Yeah, it would have to be you and then like 2 of my friends, though.
Right, okay. Well, yes.
I have to take them with me.
If you met all the people that you know now, that you met at Hampton.
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't go?
Absolutely not. The many times that I was crying on your shoulder every weekend. Like, guys, I'm not even exaggerating. It was such a difficult time because my director was so manipulative and I needed that person to graduate. So every show that I did, I had that director.
Right.
Everything, even as a professor, I had to pass that person because they were high up on the list to like, they were basically the head of my major. Yeah. So I had to kind of wiggle my way around that person and tolerate a lot of their BS that they were like like some of the stuff it's so bad, guys. Some of the stuff I can't even say on camera probably until I'm older. Like, it's just, some of the stuff is just not even legal. Like, it's just not okay. But yeah, I feel like everything else was pretty fun.
Right.
The parties were fun. Everything was fun. The parties, the weekend, like, even stressing out about classes that don't even matter anymore.
That's life experience, I think.
Yeah. What about you? And I also have a question to ask you as well.
I think that I would go to Hampton still. However, it's because of different realizations that I've had about be fluent, about myself, learning English, and other things like that. I think, honestly, I could put that. I was there for 5 years. I could put those 5 years.
Oh yeah, explain that.
Into 2. Well, I mean, 5 years of masters, 3.5 of bachelors, 1.5 of masters. Kind of like a more congested program. You take a lot of masters class while you're in undergrad. Yes, but I could really take those 5 years and push them together into 2 years and get the same amount of knowledge, same amount of classes, everything the same.
I think for me,
a lot of wasted time.
Yeah, the only thing that I think about is the wasted time. Of course, I would never want to take away our experience with the social life. The only thing that I absolutely loved about college. But the question that I have is, do you think college is worth it? Because my answer would be no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I hate to be that person, but I look at myself versus some of the friends that I have that didn't go to college, and we're both equally not equally knowledgeable. Is it
yes, equally knowledgeable.
So I would say for the knowledge aspect, absolutely, we have
I agree.
YouTube. I hate to say that, but
I mean, it is true. I think that I've learned more through doing YouTube and through running my own business and doing that for 5 years now. I've learned 20 times more than I did during 5 years of schooling.
I agree.
I think because it's actual, experience that you get in the real world. It's much more useful. However, I think if you are right now deciding if you want to go to college or not, I think that if you have it figured out, if you know what you want to do, do it. If you know that you want to act, if you're deciding if you want to go to university right now or not, I think if you have it figured out and you know what you want to do it. You don't have to go to university. A lot of jobs do not require you to go to university. Of course, there's a few that do. Accounting, there's other ones. There is medical, of course, school does, of course, besides, the question. Lawyers, of course. But acting, you can get into acting right now. Voiceover acting.
Exactly.
Same thing.
There's so much more. I only say no, it's not worth it because of the debt that you might have if you don't have a scholarship when you get out of school, which is not worth it to me. But I totally agree with you. If you know what path you're going on as a scientist, if you want to even be a professor, if you want to be anything, I think if you know what you want to be, go. That structure is good for you. Those 4 years are going to be great. But if you're just going to just go because everybody's forcing you to go or your friends are going, absolutely not. You will have a better experience doing what you really want to do. If that's just YouTube or if that's just being a personal trainer, it doesn't freaking matter. Don't waste your time and go, because a lot of my friends went and dropped out and they wish they could take that debt off their account, but you can't, so that's the only reason why. It's just not worth it. In other countries, absolutely yes, because it's free.
It's a lot. In Russia, it's free.
It's free.
Almost free.
Yeah.
It's like maybe $1,000 a year.
Yeah. Same with the Germany. Like my friends in Germany, they all have great education and love it because that pressure of the debt is not on you at the end of the day.
I think if you don't have it figured out, if you don't know what you want to do with your life, you can buy yourself time by going to university like I did.
Yeah.
I honestly...
That's what we did.
I knew what I wanted to do, kind of. I didn't have a clear path. So I went to university. And during that time, I've realized that I want to do, have a language school. And so that just bought me some time where I didn't have to pay for myself. I didn't have to buy myself food. I didn't have to pay for my own groceries, my housing. I was on scholarship. So I didn't have to provide for myself during those 5 years. After, yes. But by that time, I already had it figured out. So I think if you don't have it figured out right now, if you need to buy yourself some time to figure out what you want to do in life, go to college. If you already know what you want to do and it doesn't require you to have an education, then just go ahead and get to work. Do acting. Go different auditions. You will learn more by hands-on experience versus learning some theoretical stuff in college.
Yes.
And these days, fewer and fewer employers look at your education.
Yes.
Like in my company, I don't think I'll ever look at anybody's education. I'll say, okay, do this test.
No.
If you do it well, good job, we're hiring you.
I so agree. And even with my job that I recently just had, that I don't have anymore because of coronavirus, but they didn't even look at my transcript. And I got all A's, and I'm pissed because I'm like, why was I trying so hard? Like, what was I doing?
It's not like they're going to raise your salary because you had straight A's.
Exactly.
Anyway,
they raise your salary because of your work ethic. And when I realized that, I was like, are you okay? Like, these are the things that I wish people taught in college. But it's okay. You live and you learn, and that's why the new generation is waking up that college is not everything.
I don't think we're going to make our kids go to college. Are we?
Absolutely not.
Okay. If they choose to.
Yes, if they choose to.
Okay.
Yes, because, knowledge is power, but
you can get the knowledge anywhere. And that's a good end of this podcast. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching on YouTube. If you are listening on some other platform, join us on YouTube as well. Subscribe for more episodes, and we're gonna have some juicy ones coming up real, real soon.
Yes, we'll see. Oh God, I messed that up. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Пока-пока.